I accompanied Violet to a mansion similar to those you would only see in movies. The place was absurdly huge. How many rooms does this place have? Just from the size of the garden and the statue of a woman in the middle of the garden, I realized this place must have cost a lot of money. The moment I tried to enter Violet's house, I was prevented from entering. Soon I remember the weakness of vampires who can't enter other people's houses without being invited. It seems I have that weakness too. Violet looks at me for a moment just as a woman who was dressed as a French maid appears. The moment the woman enters my vision, I realize she's not a vampire. She has blonde hair tied back in a ponytail, blue eyes and a modest body. She looked to be between 21 and 30 years old. Her height was a little short. I think she was 170 cm. Miss Violet, I see you have brought a guest. The maid spoke in a neutral tone that held no feeling. Natalia, can you invite him in? Violet spoke in a friendly tone. Yes, Miss Violet, she said while looking at Violet. You can enter. When the maid spoke these words, I felt as if a force that was preventing me from entering had disappeared. Come on, Victor. You must have a lot of questions, right? Violet spoke with a gentle little smile. I nod in agreement. I walk towards Violet and start to follow her. While I was walking towards Violet, I felt the maid look at me like she was sizing me up or something. Passing the maid, Violet and I walk towards a living room. She points to a plush-looking sofa and asks me to sit down. I nod my head in agreement. As I take a seat on the couch, I see Violet walking up beside me and sitting down next to me. Her scent. Her scent is very alluring. I shake my head several times in an attempt to control my impulses. Hey, you are controlling yourself very well despite being a newborn. She commented with a small surprised smile. I was thinking you would jump on me and ravage me on this couch for all the servants in this mansion to see. Too bad, this woman. I feel my eyes twitch a little when I hear what she says. Although I find that offer attractive, I'm not an exhibitionist, and I want answers. You're honest, huh? She blinked a few times as she responded with a pretty smile. Try to live with a woman who only speaks her mind for 21 years of your life. You will inevitably pick up on some of her traits. I spoke with a shrug. For some reason I felt the temperature around Violet start to warm up. Hey, I wonder who this woman is, she spoke as her eyes were hidden by her hair. She is my mother, of course. Suddenly the temperature around her started to return to normal, and Violet looked up smiling. Oh, she's your mother, of course, she's your mother, I forgot you had a mother. She nodded her head several times as if she understood something very important. And you're also a virgin, so, of course, you don't have a girlfriend. How do you know I looked at her in disbelief. How does she know I didn't have girlfriends? Oh, only humans who are virgins can be turned into vampires, that's why I know you're a virgin. That's not what I wanted to know, but whatever. Quote. This is new to me. I thought vampires could turn any human into a vampire, but there is this restriction. Realizing I was silent thinking about something, Violet starts talking. Before I start explaining, you know what we are, right? I honestly answer, a vampire. Or something like a vampire. Oh. Why do you think that? I organize my thoughts and respond. First of all, I don't have the weaknesses of movie vampires like, for example, garlic, sunlight, running water, the cross of Jesus, etc. For some reason, Violet opens her eyes wide when she hears what I said. And I've never seen a vampire with the ability to see the red world. Of course I was talking about the movies I've watched, but Violet seems to ignore that. Red world? Violet asked. I elaborate. For some reason, when I'm excited by the smell of blood, the way I see the world changes and turns red. In this world, the walls seem to cease to exist, and I just see a plane with various silhouettes of the humans. And, when I look at the hearts of humans, I can see their red hearts beating like they are inviting me to drink that person's blood. For lack of better names, I call that world the Red World. I guess I should call it Vampire Vision in the future. But that's not right, after all it seems to be my power alone. I'll think about that later. I look at Violet. Precisely speaking, I look at Violet's neck, but you're the only one who is different. When I look at you with that vision, I can only see your neck glowing red. Violet looks at me like she's looking at a rare animal. As I thought, it seems like it was the right decision to turn you into a vampire. You are more special than I thought. And, you also inherited my characteristics. She said, excitedly, as she hugged me. Woman, explain to me what's going on. I said as I pulled her face away from my neck. This woman is thirsty for blood. Cough. Violet pretended to cough and leaned away from me. She assumed a noble woman's posture and started talking. This posture would be more convincing if she wasn't in my lap. But I'm not complaining. Let's start at the beginning. There are two kinds of vampires in this world, the noble vampires I'm a part of, and the plebeian vampires that you'll one day meet. The two species are the same, but at the same time different. For example, noble vampires can have children and, without exception, the noble vampire's child will have the same characteristics as his noble father or mother, with the only difference being that the characteristics of the child will be much stronger. The Snow family has the fire trait. We can control fire and we have full immunity to the sun. Normally this trait wouldn't be passed on to other vampires my family has raised, but you seem to be different. She said in a happy tone. I opened my eyes a little. That means I inherited. Yes, you inherited my trait. All vampires without exception have a weakness to the sun. Only a few families have a certain resistance to sunlight, but only my family has full immunity to sunlight. I swallow hard for a moment when I think of the bullshit I've done. Just out of curiosity, what happens when a normal vampire is bathed in sunlight? Violet smiled gently. They turned to ashes. Jesus Christ. That was close, really. I almost turned to volcanic ash. But, Snow, huh? The characteristic of her family is the opposite of the meaning of her name. Just like I said before, my family's characteristic is to control fire. She raises her hand and a fireball appears in her hand. My family is very feared in the vampire world. After all, with a small ball of fire, we can burn a vampire to ash. She spoke with a predatory smile full of shark-like teeth. What's the difference with plebeian vampires? I asked. They can't have children, and they get characteristics according to their personality. The plebeian vampires are usually the vampires that the noble vampires have created. So, I'm a plebeian vampire? I asked, confused. After all, I wasn't born a vampire. Yes, and no. Violet spoke. You were born a plebeian vampire, but since you inherited my trait, that makes you a noble vampire. Remember that red world you talked about? She spoke in a sensual tone as she breathed close to my ear. Yes, I reply in a flat voice trying to ignore her teasing. That's your plebeian vampire trait. You gained the trait when I turned you into a vampire. Do you remember your immunity to sunlight? She asked as she licked my ear. When Violet licked my ear, it felt like a surge of electricity went through my entire body. Feeling Violet's panties rubbing against my little brother, I can't help but get excited. Yes, I replied a little breathlessly. I didn't even realize I had held my breath. You inherited this trait from me. Normally that's not possible, but you're special, your blood is special. She licked my neck. Just because you have full immunity to sunlight, that makes you a noble vampire of House Snow. Am I special? Is my blood special? What the hell is this woman talking about? Despite being aroused and my urges freaking out telling me to bite Violet, I could still think somewhat clearly. Let's save the boring explanation for later. Violet pulls away from me. I look at her face and see that it was a little red and she was breathing heavily. She was clearly turned on and felt bloodlust. She put her hand on my shirt and ribs. She opens her mouth and I can see her teeth transforming. They got sharper, just like mine. Her teeth seemed capable of tearing flesh easily. She bites me with those teeth that look like those of a shark. I only feel the pain for a moment, but soon a wave of pleasure spreads through my body and I grab Violet's ass. I get up from the couch holding us and throw her back onto the couch. While doing all these moves, she hasn't stopped sucking my blood. I rip off her goth dress and soon an elegant black bra appears. I open my mouth and I feel my teeth change and my vision shift to blood red. As I look around the mansion with my eyes, I see all the people hiding behind the mansion wall. It made me lose the urge to bite Violet, and a wave of annoyance began to spread through my body. Doing the math, I see 4 female silhouettes and 2 male silhouettes, only one silhouette had their heart glowing red. I assume this is the maid I saw when I entered the mansion, the rest must be vampires. For some inexplicable reason, I was annoyed, I was extremely annoyed. I know I'm not an exhibitionist, but these emotions don't make sense to me. It's like a little problem is going up 500x because of my emotions. I look at a silhouette that has a red glowing mark on its neck. I see that person's silhouette shiver for a moment. A bloody atmosphere began to leave my body, and I spoke with an irritated growl, "Leave." I've seen the silhouette shake several times, but the male silhouette clenches his fists tightly and remains in place. Is it that annoying because he didn't leave? Annoying, irritating. Noticing the irregularity in my emotions, Violet stops biting me and looks up to where I was looking with glowing red eyes. Leave. As soon as she orders, the people behind the walls disappear. Ignore them, they're just protecting me. My family is overprotective, you know. She giggled a little with her lips full of blood. She pushed me down on the couch again, and showed her neck. Eat. The feeling of annoyance begins to subside, and soon my impulses start to trigger again, and soon I bite Violet's neck.